welcome to Pound Posse Presents. I'm going to start with, last week I mentioned that I had another little stowaway at my house, a parakeet, that my friend Sarah found in her neighborhood, and apparently he's not been claimed. I did post him on Facebook, and while a lot of people had, shares and oh my gods and isn't he cute, there's nobody that's actually claiming him. So who knows what happened, but basically the story goes that Sarah was getting ready to leave the house with her family, and her neighbor came running down the street asking her if she owned a parakeet, which Sarah doesn't own a parakeet. And the little guy was fairly well in distress. He was, flying about as high as a fence or a car, and not very fast or furious, that's for sure. So thinking quickly, the two of them knocked on another neighbor's door, got a cat carrier. They were able to scoop him up and get him in there. Sarah called, she texted me, of course, because, why not? And she brought him over, and I've got him set up in a temporary cage anyway. Poor little guy was really, he was beat, there's no other way to describe it. He was, on the verge of real distress. He was on that food dish as I was putting it in the cage, and, pretty much planted himself and stayed there for quite some time. The little guy probably hadn't eaten in a while, and in the fight or flight mode that he was in, extended a lot of energy. So he had it, and it's been hot and humid, and while that's a more of a agreeable climate for a bird than the cold, it takes its toll. So he's gone from a little hunched over, starving little thing to a more content and safe and fed. And he's awful quiet though, but I imagine he's still getting used to his digs. It's only been a week, which leads me to, I understand that things do happen. There's no pet stores near where Sarah lives. She lives in a pretty far corner from anything like that here in Waterbury, and she's on the Wolcott line, so there's really nothing where you could say it got away from a pet store. Could have been a recent purchase for somebody, could have been just one of those things that happened. I always think the worst, and I just hope that somebody didn't, decide they didn't want the responsibility and let them go, because, I hate to say that happens more often than you would think. Somebody decides they don't want a bird or a rabbit or a turtle or whatever, and they just let them go, figuring that they'll figure it out and they'll survive. But honestly, they won't. It's the worst, cruelest thing you can do. They don't know how to fend for themselves in the wild. Most of these creatures, are born obviously into captivity, and every meal they've ever had from the time their mothers were taking care of them was pretty much handed to them. So to put them out into a situation where they have to fend for themselves, they don't know how to source food or water. If they get lucky, they'll find a bird feeder or something that they can feed themselves on. With a rabbit, say, it's probably a lot easier with whatever's out there for vegetation, but that's not really the best thing for them either. These poor creatures become lunch for a predator. Birds don't know how to stay away from cars. They're out there with cats and whatever else would prey on a bird. Rabbits are hawk food and coyote food, and the turtles. There was just the whole big thing about the turtle that was lost in Waterbury, the tortoise or whatever he was. It's a wonder that poor thing survived. But they're really not cut out for it. So honestly, if it's a case where you don't want an animal, well, first of all, if you have any doubts, you shouldn't even get it. But don't just let a domestic creature go, the chances for survival are really very slim. Now, I certainly understand, if a bird first gets away, it's kind of in panic mode, and it's not necessarily going to be the easiest thing to catch. But if you happen to see one, by all means, please try to interrupt your day and do what you can to help it, because it's just not going to survive. I mean, these things never happen at a convenient time. Sarah herself had her family packed in the car, my two nieces, and was ready to go out with her husband, and they were going out to do whatever they were going out to do. I was getting ready for the show and had to stop and prepare a bird cage. Nothing ever happens when it's convenient, but you're saving a life, so you've got to put it into perspective that these creatures need help. Another friend of mine recently took in a rabbit that was hanging around her yard. She fed it for a number of days and was posting it, hoping that the family would claim it, but I told her she needed to get it inside and safe, because there was really nobody going to claim it. A domestic bunny doesn't just show up, and she found out from some neighbors that there were several of them dumped in her area. So now at least that rabbit is with a family who's loving it and doting on it and will take care of it. But not all these animals are quite so lucky. So honestly, dumping them, just letting them go, it's not the way to do things. There's plenty of rescues, and maybe you just have to put forth a little effort, but that life depends on you. And I get maybe you really don't care, but you should, because it's cruelty. It's really nothing more than cruelty to expect an animal to be able to survive. So kudos to Sarah and her neighbors, and to Sarah's husband Mark, who rode over with the bird in the carrier on his lap, trying to keep it in because the little squares were just big enough for it to stick its head out and try to get out. Would have been a fly on the wall in that car. But anyway, apparently nobody is claiming him, so I don't necessarily need another bird. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there, but in the meantime, I have named him Salazar, because I am still on a Pirates of the Caribbean kick, and I can. That kind of goes with the last bird that I ever took in, who I named Calypso, because I was also on a Pirates of the Caribbean kick, and apparently that's going to teach me a lesson. Every time a new movie comes out, I end up with another bird. Anyway, let's hope that there's not too many more Pirates movies, because I don't want any more birds. All right, so it's about that time of year where we are dealing with the upcoming 4th of July celebrations, and that means fireworks. And we probably all remember how I feel about fireworks. I don't. My dogs, for years, for whatever reason, whether who's feeding off of who, or it's just the luck of the draw, my dogs are terrified of them. It's not pretty when you're living with animals who are afraid of thunder and they're afraid of fireworks, because there's really nothing, there's no explaining it to them, there's nothing that you can do to try to make it better. You sadly have to ride out the storm, literally, or the fireworks, and I can't imagine their terror, because they don't understand. They hear all these noises, they smell the smells, they don't know what's going on. So I'm just going to start with the fact that more animals go missing around the 4th of July than any other time of the year, because they're terrified. So the best thing you can do, especially the weekends and around fireworks time, is to keep your animals inside where they're safe, because if they run, they're probably going to run blindly and not know how to get home. They can get hit by a car. A lot of bad things can happen while they're out there. One really big thing that you can do to help prevent your dog from being hopelessly lost, or even your cat, if they're microchipped, have the registration up to date. Although I don't put a whole lot of stock in microchipping, because not everybody is going to chip. Chips move, maybe not be able to be found. I've got stories of dogs who were chipped and it didn't register. So have a collar with current information on your pet. I have a friend who prefers the collars that have the information, sewn onto it, like stitched onto it, so you can see it from a distance. You don't have to get close up to the animal to read the tag. However you do it, just make sure that the information is up to date, because there's really nothing anybody can do for your animal if they can read the tag and it's an old phone number, it's an old address, it's not your up-to-date information. It's not going to help your pet get home. If you've got fireworks that happen near you, check the schedule so you know when the fireworks are going to be, so you can be prepared for it. Some people will give their animals a little something to try to calm them down. Whether you do or you don't, the best thing you can do is keep your animals inside, put on some music, put on a TV, something that's not like crazy, that might be calming. Close your windows and doors to kind of keep out some of the noise and the smells. Try and be home. It may be inconvenient for you, but just think about how much more they're going to panic if you're not home. They say not to coddle them and, oh, poor baby, but just be there and, I sit on the couch, and if they want to be with me, they can be all over me, and, I'll pet them calmly and, just try to act like nothing's happening. It makes a big difference if you're home. If you're going to have 4th of July parties, please make sure your guests are aware of the fact that your animals could get out as they're in and out of doors. Better yet, keep them safe in another room, or in a crate, or just somewhere where they can't escape. A lot of people you might have over your house don't have animals, and they're not used to, if they don't close a door right away, an animal can get out, or, if they leave a door open, that there's a risk of an animal just taking a stroll. So be careful for stuff like that. And, if you've got animals that are afraid of fireworks, you've got no business shooting them off in your yard, because you're only adding fuel to the fire. And if you have neighbors who have animals and they're afraid and you're doing it, that's just being mean. I respect your right to enjoy yourself however it is that, you choose to, but if it is going to make my animals miserable, then I have a problem with it. And I'm sure that there are plenty of other people who feel the same way. One of the things that they suggest is if you give a treat, one of those balls with the peanut butter in it, or, a nylabone, or something like that, a soup bone, something. I don't believe in rawhides, but if that's what you do, then, that's something to distract them, because maybe that will help. Zach, we have some pictures that, little poster things that we can put up that kind of go along with everything that I'm saying. It's really, some people make light of it, but it's really, to me, nothing to make light of, because I've lived with it for so many years. You can scroll through, yep. If you have an animal who's afraid, it's probably one of the cruelest things you could do to think you're going to take them out to a fireworks display. You're not going to desensitize them. It's really only going to be torture. If your pet goes missing this 4th of July with all the fireworks, please be sure to check with your local animal controls. The best way to know if it's your pet rather than to call is to go down there. Understand that they're going to have probably a large influx of animals, and it's going to be a little hectic. And, if you don't look for them, you're not going to find them. And unfortunately, a lot of the animal shelters are already full. So this is going to put a big burden on the time frame that some animals who have been sitting in the shelters have, which, it's another problem entirely. So, do everything that you can. Check all of the animal controls around you. Understand that, your pet's safety is in your hands, and you really need to do everything you can to try to keep them safe. Alrighty, I've got some really cool adoptables, and I'll take the camera back for a moment. I'm going to start with Stratford Animal Control. They have a handsome young guy named Raphael. Let's get him up, Zach. Look at that face. He is so, so cute. Raphael is about 3 years old. He's very friendly. He's neutered. He's up to date with vaccinations. He's microchipped, and he gets along with other dogs. He is perfect. What could be better than that? If you are interested in Raphael, you can call 203-385-4068. Once again, that's 203-385-4068. I just love his face. He looks like the coolest dog, and it's the black, the brindle that get overlooked, and this dog is, the way they have him described, he is nothing short of perfect. So he really shouldn't sit there for long. Somebody should scoop him right up. It's the less adoptable ones that break my heart. Next up, speaking of being a heartbreaker, is Bandit. This old guy is killing me. He's a fairly healthy 14-year-old. He's got some arthritis. They say he's a little slow unless you've got treats, and then he perks right up. He's sweet, he's loving, and I'm thinking he's probably very sad and confused to be in a shelter at 14 years old. I can't imagine, a dog at that age being without a home. I just really, really can't. They don't give his backstory, but I can tell you he doesn't deserve to spend another day not in a doting home. I lost my boys at 13 and 14, and they were just aged to perfection, as I'm sure Bandit is. So if you are interested in giving Bandit a home for whatever time he's got left, you can call Stratford Animal Control at 203-385-4068. Once again, 203-385-4068. And that leads us to Mickey, who is also in Stratford. Mickey is described as awesome. He knows basic obedience. He's happy, friendly, and here we are, he loves other dogs. He's neutered, he's up to date, and he's microchipped. So you've got like another perfect dog here with like no excuse for he's sitting in a shelter. If you're interested in Mickey, he's also at Stratford Animal Control, 203-385-4068. Next, we have Speckles. He's laughing in there, Zach is. Speckles is described as being happy and playful. She loves butt scratches and other dogs. Look, I'm on a roll tonight with all these dogs that should be in homes because they are not those niche adoptions. She's spayed, she's up to date, she's microchipped, and if you are interested in Speckles, you can call 203-385-4068, 203-385-4068, and here is a gratuitous picture of Mickey and Speckles together. How cute is that? So there's, two dogs who get along with other dogs, getting along with each other. I love it. So that's all of the ones I have for Stratford this evening, which brings me on to a couple of dogs who maybe are a little bit more of a tough sell. Let's get Shayna up. Shayna, this poor girl, she started out at the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter, and unfortunately now she's back there. She's safe, but she has a heart condition. And that makes the shelter really just too much for her with all of the noise and the excitement and the hustle and the bustle. They are looking for a foster home to get her out of there like as soon as possible. the people at the town of Hempstead Animal Shelter are wonderful, and I know that they're trying to do everything they can to keep her calm and quiet, but it's a really hard thing when you've got 100 dogs or more in a place with a dog that just needs to be in a calm, quiet environment. So that's exactly what they're looking for, a quiet, calm foster home, one that's convenient to Long Island, because there are some, obviously medical concerns with her. The shelter will pay for all food, all medical, and all other supplies. So that's why, you pretty much need to be local to Long Island, because, you're going to obviously be having to see the vets and keep close tabs on her. And I'm sure it's also a fail-safe. And here we go with another beautiful thing. Shayna loves other dogs. I'm sure it would probably be best if they were older and calmer and, didn't try to engage her in too much activity. But if you can help Shayna, and I really hope somebody can, please call 516-785-5220. Once again, that's 516-785-5220. And let's get Shayna out of the shelter and into a nice, quiet foster home so that they can continue to find a permanent home for her. But in the interim, this is just one of those dogs that can't do it. Next up, we have Chunk. And I can't even stand, this face is the epitome of the happy pity smile. He is absolutely gorgeous. He's 6 months old. He's happy. He's handsome. He's well-mannered. He's sweet. He's excellent with kids. He's good with cats. He's great with other dogs. And Chunk is deaf. He knows his commands by sign, and he would love to live with another dog who he can learn from. That's how animals do a lot of the time. They take their cues from another dog. They take the lead from, the dog that can hear or see or whatever. Chunk is neutered, he's up to date, and he's microchipped. He's actually, I can't imagine, he's probably not one of the best dogs ever. You just have to make that extra commitment to the fact that, you have to learn what signs that he knows and learn how to actually communicate. But you know what? That happy face, he doesn't know he has a problem in the world, and he doesn't. He just needs to find the right home, and I'm sure it's out there for him. That face, it's a heartbreaker. Anyway, for more information about Chunk, you can email ct.bark, B-A-R-C, @gmail.com, ct.barc@gmail.com. Now, next up is a dog who's a little bit further away, but maybe somebody's got some connections and can do something to help this guy. Let's look at Bear. That's a face that, I just want to smooch, okay? But I want to smooch them all, so we shouldn't be too surprised. Anyway, Bear he's at the Detroit Animal Welfare Group. And yeah, okay, so it's Michigan. Like I said, maybe someone's got some connections, can help push him. He arrived there at 7 months old, and he has been there now for about 3 years because nobody seems to want him. He's had a couple of interested applicants. One was a family where the kids just decided at the last minute that they wanted a different dog. And one where, posting that, she wanted him. She filled out the application. She had an appointment to come meet him, and she just totally never kept her appointment. She never showed up. No one ever heard from her again. Bear has been to adoption event after adoption event. Somewhere every other animal went home but him. It's getting to be really sad. Some dogs, I don't understand why they get passed over the way they do. Bear is one of them. He's getting more and more depressed, and who can blame him? He's described as being wonderful with people. He loves kids, he loves men, he loves women, he loves to play, he's very affectionate, he loves to cuddle, he knows basic commands, and of course, unfortunately, the deal breaker, I guess, for him is that he needs to be an only. but there's got to be somebody out there. These niche adoptions, I understand it's hard. Most people who love animals have animals, but things happen every day, and people lose an older pet, or something, they lose a pet to illness and they don't have any other animals. These are the dogs that need the homes the most, and I wish it would be those people who would seek out an animal like Bear. There are so many of them, to be honest with you. But anyway, if you look on the Pal and Posse Presents Facebook page, there's an article that the Dodo, one of the Dodo writers, wrote for him, and that's shared. Can we just share him? Please, can we get him a home? 3 years is a really long time to wait, and it's just too sad. So Bear is at the Detroit Animal Welfare Group, and the number there, in case you are interested, 586-354-8500. Once again, that's 586-354-8500. They don't say anything about long-distance adoptions, but I'm sure that if they felt it was the right home, they would consider it. I can't speak for them, and I'm not trying to. Zach, let's go through all these adoptables one more time. There are so many really good dogs. You've got Raphael, you've got Bandit, you've got Mickey and Speckles, and you've got Shayna and Chunk and Bear. These are my picks for this week, and I just, it would be a really great thing if some of them could find homes. Some of them are real easy. Love other dogs, get along with everybody. You can't get any better than that. So hopefully, like I said, if you'll just share them, especially Bear, that's breaking my heart, and Bandit, because he's such an old guy. So anyway, I'm thinking it's about that time. I'm going to say peace, love, and dogs. Until next week, thank you very much for watching, everyone.